Welcome to Main Street Living. I'm Cheryl Nelson.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Quincy Carr.
And I'm Danielle Alvari.
Hi guys, another week. What's going on?
Hey, I'm just happy to be back on the main street. Hey,
you like that?
That was good. I know. Well, guys, I've got some exciting news, and I never thought in a million years that I would be so excited to get my hands on some fresh toilet paper. So I don't know about you guys, but here in Virginia, it has been extremely difficult.
Wow.
You got a lot.
I do. The shelves are bare. My friend was in upstate New York for business, and she texted me a picture of the shelves, and they were full of Charmin toilet paper. And she goes, do you still need some toilet paper? I said, yes, please. And so she brought me back that. And I got to tell you, that picture on my Instagram has gotten more likes than a normal picture that I post. And, you know, in what decade did we ever think pictures with toilet paper would get the most likes?
Hold up.
Well, you got the good stuff too. You got the Charmin. You got the hookup. That's the good toilet paper.
She knows I only get the good stuff. And, you know, and she got me the soft too. She was debating soft or strong. Definitely.
But how did you run out of toilet paper already? It's just you and your husband.
No. We haven't run out yet.
There's a lot of cats in that house, Quincy.
Hold up, tell me. So the cats, meow.
We still had some, but I was getting nervous because we've been out of TP here for over 2 months in Virginia, which is crazy. I mean, Danielle, is it like that in California?
It was initially, but now I usually when I go in, there's a couple on the shelves, and all the stores that you guys having your stores do this, they're limiting like one per customer, like one.
Yeah, they've been doing that since week 1.
Yeah. So I don't know where it's all going. I mean, if LA has toilet paper and
I know where it's going, Cheryl. We all know where it's going.
But I think people have stockpiles of it. I think that's the problem.
Yeah. Man. I mean, like, there's a bold lady that lives around the corner from me, and she actually has her garage open. And every time you drive by, and the reason why I say she's bold, because she's got a stockpile full of just waters and toilet paper and paper towels. And I'm like, you are bold that we live in a decent neighborhood where people will be like, you know what, I'm gonna take that and leave, because she leaves a garage door open all the time. So it's almost like it's kind of up in the air, and it's open about how the NFL season is going to go, right?
I was going to say we're talking TP, but I want to talk TB. Let's talk Tom Brady. First Sunday matchup for Drew Brees. Very exciting. New colors for him. Cheryl, how are you feeling about that? I know you're a New England fan.
Oh, born and raised in New England. Well, until I was 9 anyway. And I mean, it was Patriots, Red Sox. I mean, you name it, all of the New England Boston sports teams. So I got to support my Pats. I mean, I'm going to miss Tom Brady and Gronk, but what do you do?
Well, you just, keep being a fan of the America's team, Dallas Cowboys. So that's what
Quincy
you can do.
I was going to say, Quincy can talk to you about having like a losing team and how to cope and how to
cope. I mean, they might surprise everybody this year. Who knows?
Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly how the Cowboys fans talk every year as well. So I think.
And that's why we're America's team, because our ratings go up every time we're playing, because America hates us and America loves us. So we're America's team. That's just to clear up if anybody didn't understand.
So you're Cowboys. Danielle, who's your team?
I don't actually have a team. I didn't grow up watching football, but I always cheer for the UCLA players because that's where I went. And so that's fun because pretty much every team has a UCLA player, not to brag, but so I have like a stake in every game kind of. So it's good. I love the Vikings because they have Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks. So
yeah. Well, I'm from Texas, so I have to root for my Cowboys. So
there you go. See, born and raised. That's what you got to do.
Texas homegrown. And speaking of growing, coming up in our next segment, we are going to be talking about gardening tips from a garden guru. So stick with us.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. With so many of us at home right now, lots of us have picked up a new hobby in gardening. And joining us today to talk about that is garden guru Mike Westfall from McDonald Garden Center. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Well, thanks for having us.
So tell me, it seems like a lot more people are all of a sudden getting interested in gardening due to this pandemic. What have you seen?
Yes, we've definitely seen an increase of people coming in and looking for opportunities and things to do around the home, especially new people to gardening. It's been a great influx of customers coming in, looking, like I said, for things to work on in their homes and around their homes. And we've been a great resource for them. So we've been happy to be here for them.
Would you say gardening is essential at this time? I mean, are people coming in for fruits and vegetables and things like that they're trying to grow on their own?
Oh yeah, for the Victory Garden was kind of a rehash of that from the 1940s. So it was exciting to kind of have that kind of come back alive. People are thinking about growing vegetables and fruits, and herbs have been very popular. So of course, that's a great thing that you can do, and it is essential. I mean, to grow your own food, people do that to provide for their families, and so to have the fertilizer and the soil and the plant food and all the solutions that you need to be successful in the garden, it is an essential thing. And along with that, it gives you a sense of well-being. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. Humans need that. I mean, we need projects to do. We need things to keep us occupied. It's a great exercise to be out in the garden and to be outside and be in one with nature. And it relieves stress. And that's what a lot of us need right now, is a bit of a stress relief.
Yes, it's so good to get outside and get moving. Now, here's the problem though. I don't have a green thumb. So what advice would you have for somebody like me?
Yeah, we've had lots of new customers, and the best advice I can give is look to your local garden centers. I mean, we've been here in Virginia for 75 years, and so look to those local garden centers that know your area the best. Do a little bit of planning. Think about the things that you want to grow and the size of your project and the scope of the project that you want to accomplish, and just do a little bit of planning so that we're prepared to answer your questions. Have lots of questions, and then take things off as you can do them. Try not to do anything too big. If you don't think you can manage it, then start small is a great opportunity just to do something and get active.
Now, what about tips for planting? Are there certain times that we should plant certain things like trees, bushes, vegetables, herbs, etc.? And where do you get started? I know I've seen like zone 7, zone 8, zone 9. How do you know what zone you're in?
Yeah, so you can check a lot of websites have the zones. I mean, you can just type it into Google search and just search your zones. You can ask, of course, your local garden centers to know your zones. That is important information to know, whether your plants are going to grow, throughout the year, or if it's going to be an annual in your area. And so that is good information to know. But really, spring is a great time to plant. So it's a great time to be out in the yard. Lots of opportunities to grow different things. A lot of people are getting into their summer vegetables with the squash and zucchinis and peppers and cucumbers. That's all coming about. Herbs, lots and lots of herbs to choose from. And then annual color, you start to think about all the blooming hanging baskets and begonias and lantana and impatiens, and the list just goes on and on. And so typically spring is the busiest season for the garden centers anyways, because we're coming out of the colder winter, and people are, they want to get outside and they want to enjoy it. And it's a great time to plant.
Now, what if you don't have a lot of property or a yard per se? You're in an apartment, but you want to put some things in pots. What are some good plants or herbs to plant in pots, especially in the hot weather? I know some of us are going through a heat wave, depending on where you are in the country. And then we want to keep those bugs and mosquitoes away too.
Right. So lots of opportunities for that. Small space gardening is very popular right now. You can grow vegetables and herbs in containers on a porch or patio very easily. And of course, any type of flower that you want to do. Indoor plants, as you can kind of see around me right now, have become extremely popular, especially since a lot of us are working from home, and we want to do something in our office to kind of bring nature inside. Again, makes you more productive, gives you a sense of well-being, improves the air quality, all of those great things that indoor plants do. And there's so many different choices these days.
Great information. Where can people learn more?
So lots of resources on our website at mcdonaldgardencenter.com, and definitely check out our Facebook page. We've been doing seminars during this whole pandemic to continue to educate our customers. And so it's a great resource. I have been holding all of these seminars and on lots of different topics. I think we've got probably somewhere between 10 to 12 different videos, where from anything from mold and vole control to growing your own vegetables to tropicals to annuals, lots and lots of different topics. So there's great resources out there. And we have a lot on our Facebook page as well as our website.
So much to learn. Thank you so much, Mike. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, lots more ahead on Main Street Living. Coming up, we're talking about mentoring. You might not be able to do it in person, but we have some ideas for doing it virtually. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the show, guys. Welcome back to Main Street Living. And of course, in these uncertain times, it'd be kind of nice to have a mentor, someone to give some sage wisdom or guidance. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. I need one of those. Yes.
Well, I mean, I know, like, as a veteran in the comedy game, like some of my comedy peers be like, "You're a mentor to me," and I'm like, "How? I don't feel like I qualify." But you know who does? They have over 100 years of experience at the Big Brothers Big Sisters organization, and they have it down to a science. And with today's guest, Adrienne Jameson, she's director and of development of Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Central Arizona. We welcome you to the show. How are you doing there?
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. Well, just for starters, can we just get an idea of what the Big Brothers Big Sisters mission is overall?
Absolutely. So Big Brothers Big Sisters is a national organization, and we have programs all across the country. And our mission really is to help ignite the potential in all youth by making one-to-one relationships with caring adult volunteers who we call bigs and children aged 6 to 18 who we call littles.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got you. And I know that you're a national organization, as I mentioned, with over 100 years of experience. Mm-hmm. How has that translated to the success of what you guys do?
Yeah, so 100 years of experience means we've been able to test everything out to see what works and what doesn't. And what really makes the difference for our volunteers and our matches is that they are getting that quality one-to-one time with one another to build a really lasting relationship that's built on the foundations of trust and respect. Nice. and that allows children to feel really well supported.
Okay, now during COVID-19, obviously it's been an effect on us globally. How has it affected the boys or the Big Brothers Big Sisters overall?
Normally, our children would meet with their volunteers face-to-face. Face-to-face is usually better, but of course, right now we all have to adapt. And the children in our program are facing a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, just like we are every day. But having a caring adult can really act as a protective factor against those stresses. So it's really important that we kept our matches engaged and continuing to have conversations together throughout this time. So they've been super creative. They've been meeting virtually via Hangout or Zoom, playing online games, and even writing some handwritten cards, which is just super cute to see.
Yeah, that's interesting, Adrienne. Can you also tell us about, you have an annual Tee Up for Kids fundraiser, and why is the fundraiser so important?
Yeah, I think that's really the biggest challenge we're facing as a nonprofit right now is we have to continue to fund our programs, even with everything else that's going on. And so we did have to delay our annual Tee Up for Kids campaign that we host here in Phoenix. But we actually moved it to a virtual platform. So we appreciate the support of everyone. A gift of any size makes a big difference. That website is bbbsaz.org/give now.
Yeah, those forward slashes will get us every time.
It'll catch, yeah.
Yeah. Now, how can people donate, and where does the money go to?
So you can donate by visiting our website, bbbsaz.org/give now. And that money really helps us make sure that we are able to continue supporting our matches as much as they need us during this time, and also help us to make new matches for those children most in need.
Absolutely. And you guys have over 1,000 matches that you currently support. So that is like super awesome. Before we go, because we still got a little bit of time, any personal stories or victories that you'd like to share regarding your organization?
It's been really cool to see how matches have gotten creative in helping their littles during this time. We had one big sister who created a care kit for her little sister, sanitized the whole thing, dropped it off at her house. And one of the pieces to it was a journal with prompts, so that her and her little could kind of process what's going on right now, but also plan future match activities together. So that was a super sweet idea, and that's the exact sort of thing we want our bigs to be helping our littles with right now.
Yeah, and I can attest to being a big brother. Some years ago, I was in college and I was just looking to inspire, like a little kid, and that was probably one of the most rewarding things that I know I had done in my life, because this was, I think he was like a fifth grader, and just with no direction, and then I came in and we just had this relationship. And then I watched him as he turned into a young adult. So I can say that being a part of the organization is something that does go really far. And I'm sure the experiences that you guys get back is very rewarding. So thank you all for what you do there in Arizona.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for being a part of the show, Adrienne. And we look forward to more from you. All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, that
great
was pretty
interview.
cool. Yeah.
Yes. Very good stuff there. And we've got some more good stuff coming up on Main Street Living. Recruiting during the pandemic is certainly not easy. We'll take a look at how it's impacting the sport of basketball coming up.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. Cheryl and Danielle, I think we can agree everyone's careers have kind of been flipped on its side as people are still adjusting to working from home, right?
Yeah, look
Absolutely.
at us.
Yeah, not being able to leave the house. And I can't really think of someone who travels maybe more than a basketball scout. So, I mean, coming up, we're going to hear from our National Basketball Scout and Recruiting Analyst, Adam Finkelstein, to see how his life has changed and how he's working from home.
My name is Adam Finkelstein. I've worked in college basketball recruiting for the last 10 years, 15 really, last 10 for ESPN. Normally I would have spent the last month in Boston, New York, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Dallas, I believe, but haven't really gone anywhere. So here's a look at what my normal day in the new normal would look like. So our mornings are spent on the computer doing second grade virtual classroom and trying to learn letters to get ready for kindergarten. Spend most of my days with my kids. My wife works in a hospital, so I'm home with our 7-year-old and our 4-year-old. This is usually our afternoons and our biggest triumph of the now 8 weeks, teaching the 7-year-old to ride her bike without training wheels and kind of unexpectedly getting the 4-year-old to follow suit.
So now we're in my home office, and this is where the day ends, or at least maybe even begins for me professionally. My wife gets home about 5 o'clock, and that's really when I go to work, at least consistently, because she takes the kids, and I dive into my professional life. Normally in the spring, as I said, travel around the country watching the best high school prospects in the country, and come back during the week and try and digest that all here, whether I'm looking into further video, recording my notes, but that's usually the process from Monday through Thursday. That's obviously all changed now, so the only thing we have is to dive into the video from the recent high school season. So I'll watch film here, I'll make calls here, do my due diligence trying to research the character of prospects. We also create content here. We've been doing more of that the last couple of months. People are at home looking for content, so if I'm recording a podcast, that'll be right here as well.
With me is ESPN National Director of Recruiting, Paul Biancardi. So, Coach, thanks for joining me.
Nothing else I'd rather do on a Friday afternoon, Adam, than talk ball with you.
Usually stay here most of the late afternoon into the evening and pretty much all weekend, trying to get ahead for the coming week because I know I'm going to have the kids. So my wife and I just rotate on that basis, do the best we can, as I know everybody else is. So I hope it was interesting. I'm not sure it was, but that is the look at my new normal, which is very different from what we are accustomed to. Hope everybody stays safe and healthy.
I mean, like, it can't be any more interesting than that, because that's really what everybody's life has become. Is like, you know, it's just going to look different, you know?
Yeah. It's so tough because a lot of us thankfully can work from home, but then other people have lost their jobs and it's just nothing is the same right now.
Well, and the impact on the athletes even. I mean, this is such a huge year for juniors, especially in high school, and maybe seniors who are kind of on the periphery, don't have a school yet that they're going to go play at. So how it's affecting those students as well and their futures on for at least the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's affecting students, it's affecting workers, and just the population in general. And coming up on Main Street Living, if you're struggling from addiction or someone you know is struggling, we're going to share how you can find help. That's coming up next.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. Now, of course, right now, more than ever, it's harder to reach out and get the help we need, especially for those of us who are dealing with a substance abuse problem. What are your guys' thoughts on how people have been able to handle that?
It's so tough. I mean, especially during a pandemic. And Quincy, I mean, you'd probably agree with this.
Absolutely. I mean, that's where you would need your professionals to help and give you advice, on how to cope with it,
Absolutely. And whether you're struggling yourself with addiction or maybe a loved one, family member, or friend is, it's got to be especially hard during COVID-19. So we're going to talk with an expert now, and we want to bring in Fred Trapassi. He's the CEO of AddCare Rhode Island. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
So tell us about the services that you provide.
So if I could just go back just a little bit, the AddCare division is actually a division of American Addiction Centers. They operate over 1,000 treatment beds at 9 facilities in 8 states across the country. Here in Southern New England, AddCare has been around for 45 years. They truly are the premier treatment organization. Just about anybody. They're one of the very few providers that actually can accept Medicare, Medicaid, as well as commercial insurance and other things like that. Here in Rhode Island, so I oversee AddCare Rhode Island, and that consists of a 59-bed treatment unit in beautiful North Kingstown, Rhode Island. It's a very rural setting. We're on 22 acres of wooded property, a lot of wildlife, and we have 59 beds for detoxification and for residential treatment. Typically, people stay with us from 21 to 30 days, although we do have people that can stay up to 3 months, sometimes even longer, depending on their need. And we really have a couple of specialties, a couple of niche that AddCare Rhode Island does that not many other providers do. So we can actually initiate people onto medication-assisted treatment. I'm sure some of your audience has heard about Suboxone, buprenorphine, methadone, Vivitrol. We also do a lot of work with veterans. We really dedicated American Addiction Centers, AddCare as a whole, and AddCare Rhode Island. We've really dedicated a lot of our treatment time to veterans suffering from both substance abuse and PTSD. And then we offer a lot of things on site, like we have a full gym, yoga, meditation, drumming, acupuncture. So we like to think that between the exceptional treatment that people get when they come to us and the amenities and just the setting really lends itself to people getting better, getting healthier, and staying safe.
Yeah, it sounds like they're staying active as well in a beautiful setting. Now, I know it can be tough for somebody to realize they have a problem with addiction. I mean, sometimes family and friends see it before the person themselves actually sees it. So how would you tell that person, hey, you need help? And what if they don't want to come to your facility? How do you kind of coax them into it?
Right. Well, I heard a little bit at the beginning just talking about COVID and how COVID has kind of played a role in all of this. I mean, we took the whole COVID issue extremely serious because a lot of people come to us, they already have medical complications, comorbidities, a lot of them co-occurring mental health issues. So we really do get seriously. But really, I think as a people, not just a country, but I think everywhere, people really have to start looking at addiction very differently, whether it's mental health, whether it's substance use, whether it's alcoholism, trauma. These are things that are happening more and more every day to Americans across the country. So I think the first step is really just finding someone you trust to talk about it. Recognize that you have a problem. Listen to the people around you. They're the best indicator. They're like the canary in the gold mine. If people are telling you constantly that you have a drinking problem or that you have a problem when you drink or when you go out and get high, listen to that. But then the very next step should be contacting a treatment facility. Both American Addiction Centers and AddCare, we're completely accessible online. They've done a tremendous job in updating all of our websites. So it really is fewer clicks, less that people need to do. They can get in touch with a treatment professional right online, almost instantaneously. And that person can really walk them through what they need to do, how they need to do it. We'll get them to the location, and we'll make sure that they're safe in the process.
That's really good because I know now, like you said, during COVID-19, a lot more people are maybe realizing, oh gosh, do I have a problem? And do I need to talk to somebody and get some help? So if people do, what are some good resources? What should people do before we go?
I think in terms of good resources, you mean beyond treatment resources?
As far as, where can they go to learn more information?
AddCare.com, AmericanAddictions.com. Certainly our phone number is 1-800-alcohol, easy one to remember, but they can call anytime. They'll get a treatment professional on the phone. And again, we will help them get to wherever they need to go. And one last thing, people need to remember, just short months ago, as many people died from COVID as died from drug abuse last year. Over 70,000 Americans have died every year for the last 5 years. So it's a huge issue in and of itself. When you add COVID to the mix, compromised health systems, the mental stress, it really is a lot. And we really want people to know we're out here, and we're looking to be in touch with them.
Staggering numbers there. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate everything you're doing.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Hey guys, that was very informative. Thank you very much, Fred, for that. As a veteran, I can definitely attest to, things that can happen that we need help with. And thank you, Cheryl, for that wonderful interview. And shifting gears for a bit, you ever wonder, ladies, what do animals do when the zoo closes?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Well, stay with us. We'll find out when we come back. Welcome back to Main Street Living. Danielle, quick question. You remember how COVID-19 caused so many of us to pay attention to watching Tiger King?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
On Netflix.
National treasure. Sure.
Right. Well, sadly, that's not the case for animals in real life at zoos, right?
Not the case, but a really exciting interview we have coming up here, because I'd like to welcome to the show Rick Schwartz, ambassador for the San Diego Zoo Global. Rick, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Good to see you.
Absolutely.
So I know, Rick, your title is ambassador, but that's just skimming the surface. So can you tell us a little bit more about your background?
Well, yeah, as ambassador, it's my role to represent San Diego Zoo Global, the nonprofit that runs the zoo and safari park. But my whole life has been dedicated to animal care and animal science. I started off as a zookeeper and studying their behavior. And just as of about 2009 or 10, took on more of a spokesperson role for the organization, which now allows me to travel to Los Angeles or New York to be on different TV shows, national or local. And then I also am very fortunate. They send me to our conservation sites that we have all around the world. So I've been to the Galapagos Islands, I've been to Kenya and Botswana, Australia for koala conservation, and the list goes on. We do work all around the world, and I've been very fortunate to go and video some things there and bring those stories back then for our audience.
Okay, so you mentioned the television, so tell us a little bit more. I know that you are one of the hosts for the show on Animal Planet.
Well, yeah, sort of a host. Yeah, if you're familiar, Animal Planet's been kicking up some great new shows lately. The first one started at the Bronx Zoo, just called The Zoo. And it's sort of this intimate behind-the-scenes opportunity for the audience on Animal Planet to not just see the zoo animals, but understand the work that the keeper and care staff do. And we started last year, our first season, the Zoo San Diego. And you'll see me in there. I do host a lot of openers for the actual show itself, and then some of the stories within each episode too. But my main role actually for that is I help coordinate a lot of our staff with the production team. So I'm there every day with them filming. And it's been really fun for me, because a lot of times when I'm assigned a project, I've got to go to one location only, and I'm there a lot, and then I disappear. With this project, we're all over the zoo and safari park, so I'm getting reacquainted with a lot of my teammates from different parts of the zoo and safari park. It's been great, and it's fun to see it on TV, to see our staff and all their hard work be featured on television is just so wonderful.
Right. You mentioned the behind the scenes. So what kind of measures are you guys having to take to help keep the staff and the animals safe at this time?
Right. We're all dealing with the changes of COVID-19 and the pandemic and everything. And for us, our animal care staff, our veterinarian teams, our nutrition teams, anybody that has anything to do with the care of the plants or the animals that we have, we're considered essential employees. Now, their shifts did change. They went to a half-week schedule, and the teams got split in half. That way, two teams would never cross. So if someone gets infected, we still have a safety net that way. That changed. And then one thing we've always done with many of our species is we're hearing a lot of the news, the PPE, the personal protective, the gear that everyone has. That equipment is something we've always used for a lot of species, a mask, a face shield, gloves. We've just increased that further for all species, because we do know there are some species that can get COVID-19. It doesn't affect them the same way it affects humans, but they can still transmit it possibly too. So as an overall just sort of safety feature, we're requiring a lot of our staff now to wear that. A lot of the images you're sharing here are pre-COVID, by the way, so you're not seeing them in their protective gear. But our staff has been going to great lengths to keep themselves safe and the animals too.
Absolutely. And I know you also mentioned that the zoo community itself is very collaborative. So have you been able to speak with other zoos and you guys are kind of working on this together?
Yeah, it's one of those things where everyone kind of has their specialty. Some zoos work specialty in with cheetahs, or some specialty with birds or whatever. And so instinctively, before we've even faced this whole COVID situation, we all work together, because it's one of those things where if one of us tries to be the best and do all the great things, then really conservation is not going to happen. Conservation is something that's going to work when we all work together. It's a collective issue that has caused the problems for these animals. It'll be a collective thing that solves these problems. So once we get to the situation now where we're dealing with COVID-19, the communications and inner sort of, talking about how we're managing this and what works, what doesn't work, has only continued that much more, making sure everyone's following best practices.
Of course. And then we're coming to the end of our time here, so I want to make sure we talk about this. I know that San Diego Zoo Global is a nonprofit organization. Obviously, you guys aren't able to sell tickets right now. So what can people do to kind of help out?
Yeah, as a nonprofit, we've always relied heavily on our ticket sales, concession sales, et cetera, to fund taking care of our wildlife that we have at the zoo and safari park, but also the work we do around the world. So now at this time, without those sales happening, we are asking for donations. You can go to our website, sandiegozoo.org, and immediately you'll have the opportunity to donate. Even if it's just $5, every little bit does help, that's for sure.
Sure. And of course, most of us are all animal lovers, so I'm sure we'd all love to help out. So thank you so much, Rick, for your wealth of knowledge. If you want to follow him too, Zoology Rick on Instagram, you can check out the sandiegozoo.org. Thanks so much for joining us today, Rick.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Stay safe.
Oh, that was such a good interview. And
I know Cheryl loved it. I know Cheryl loved it.
Yes, I loved it. And she's taken off for the zoo right now. She's going to go check him out. From animals to music, we will see how the music industry is holding up during the pandemic, coming up next.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. The recent boom in live streaming for musicians, although forced by COVID-19, has been a scramble for a lot of artists to adapt. So Artist Collective hopes to be a go-to resource for musicians during this turbulent time. And our next guest, Evan Price, is co-founder and music consultant there at Artist Collective. Welcome to the show, Evan. How are you doing,
man? Good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, I see that you have the shirt in the background that says "Back to the Music." All right. So your background offers a sense of empathy to the artists using this platform. So what exactly is Artist Collective?
Sure. Thanks. Artist Collective is a new type of artist development company that really focuses on e-learning and sharing the go-tos on what to do in the music industry for independent artists that may not be signed. They may just have a great craft and they want to make a business behind it. So we can kind of give them the ins and outs, give them real life examples, strategies, walkthroughs, and even trainings from other people within the industry to just show them what the music industry is about.
That's interesting, because I'm sure that was before COVID-19, but how has COVID-19 affected the music industry in your opinion?
In the music industry as a whole, I think it's definitely rocked it. In terms of our business model, it's been thriving. People are at home. Artists are at home. They are realizing that any kind of economy can be this fragile. So why not go in on their passions and learn a new skill during this time? So enrollment has been at an all-time high. I'm very humbled by it. Billboard picked this up and was sharing about our resources. So it's been great because people are at home and they want to learn a new skill.
Yeah, well, how are artists actually staying afloat during the pandemic? Because I know, it's like for a lot of us, when we're used to performing live in front of people, and then we go to, okay, so now I'm going to perform and not get any reaction.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a struggle for a lot of people, especially a lot of bands. It's really forced them into, okay, let's figure out this live Facebook Live, Instagram Live. How do we recreate that in-person experience and take it live? And it's also just force them to kind of look at marketing strategies apart from just meeting people at a bar and saying, come check out my band, how do you recreate that again online? So it's been an interesting time. I know some venues may not be here when this comes back around, which is sad. There's some venues here in Chicago that I am already seeing that they're going to be permanently closed. So it's definitely shifting the industry, but I think it's gonna work out.
Yeah, I think I remember performing at the Promenade? It's like a very it's like in a part of Uptown Chicago.
Yeah.
We taped an episode on Laugh Tracks, and they filmed it at I think it's the Promenade, but that was a beautiful place. So I hope venues like that do continue. Now, you also have a mindful approach towards investing in personal branding, collaboration, and creating long-lasting connections with fans. Now, what advice do you have for independent artists right now?
Yeah, that's interesting you brought that up. Thanks. In April, we unveiled our monthly curriculum, which was living online with your super fans. This was right when COVID started and everybody was at home and artists were confused on what to do, but you can actually build a greater relationship online more than you think. So my best advice is just take the time to get to know your fans, even somebody who likes one thing, slide in the DMs and have a conversation with them and be a person, it's more than just listen to my music, like create that connection and you're going to build lifelong super fans, as we call them.
Absolutely. That's a great point that you're making about, how music is going to keep us together and in these hard times. Where can our viewers get more information as we get ready to wrap this up, man?
Sure. Yeah, you can go to our website. It's artistcollect.com. Check us out at Artist Collect, Facebook, Instagram. You can reach out to me on Instagram as well. It's AC_Evan, and you just reach out to us. We would love to give you any kind of value before you jump into the membership, which the membership is totally free to start for a whole month. So if you're on the fence, try us out.
Absolutely. And the most important thing, as I'm looking at my sheet here, I saw that you've been in the industry for 15 years. Okay. And you do have another co-founder is Vinny. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys also have a firsthand experience in your roles as a bouncer, touring drummer, promoter, digital marketer. So you guys are the one-stop shop, essentially, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We were artists first. And I think that's important. It's just like we walked the walk. We were artists and drummers and managers, and we wore a bunch of different hats. And I think that's important to be able to have a bird's eye view of how the industry really works.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, man. And thank you for keeping us moving and listening and dancing during these tough times. And we definitely look forward to seeing more from what you guys are putting out there for everyone. Thanks, Evan.
Cool, man. Thank you. Have a good day.
Awesome. And when we come back, we got a little bit more with Main Street Living. So you guys stick with us.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. Another great show today.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. And I'll be honest, I can't hang around too much longer because I just found out I got to go get dressed. My daughter is throwing another nighttime party. She just got an invitation. It's right here. And it basically says, want to be at the biggest party in the world? And then she gives us the zip code, which is her room, where her room and the time. And then I have a raffle ticket number. Me and her mom can win something. Oh, the odds of me being upset.
Well, gosh, I wonder what they're going to win. And then what's going to happen at the party?
I have no idea, but I have to get my clothes right. No, I think it's a pajama party, so I can put on my sweats.
Danielle, you love pajama parties.
I do. I have a pajama party every day. Yeah. But that's a handwritten invite. That's an exclusive party you're attending.
Yeah, she really cares about us.
That's so sweet. Danielle, I think we got a little left out there.
I have FOMO. I have fear of missing out.
Yeah. That's a real thing.
Can you put in a good word for us so we can get on the list next time? I understand.
Anytime somebody has a high voice, then you know it's not going to happen.
Quincy, I've never heard you make such a high-pitched sound. That was great.
Yeah, that means it's not going to happen.
That's going to be Danielle next week, right? After your juice
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh, yes.
You guys have to hold me accountable. I'm doing a 3-day juice cleanse. I can't make a commitment longer than 3 days, so.
Girl, I don't know how you're going to do that. More power to you. Tune in next week. We're going to talk more about that.
Absolutely. And thanks everybody for tuning into this episode. We can't wait to see you guys again next week.
That's right. And don't forget, our new episodes are Mondays, 9 p.m. local time. So tune in then to catch our next stroll down Main Street. Have a great day.